All right, I'm documenting a bit. I think that you can see this PowerPoint screen here. I am pretty good at PowerPoint over the years, but horrible at putting a visual to an idea or story that I wanted to tell. And Hospiamo is all about telling stories about other people, specifically about running hotels, being a hospitality manager, being a hospitality worker, and then growing into a manager, and then growing into a leader, and then growing into an entrepreneur, or hopefully a little piece of ownership. Um, and so we exist to bust through some of those barriers that exist for workers to become managers, or managers to become leaders, or leaders to become entrepreneurs. So I'm going to use terms like difficult or hard, or I was this is hard for me, meaning just telling, getting my point across in a concise way. And everyone who knows me knows that I would spend 15 minutes explaining a two-sentence concept that other people can explain in two sentences, right? So I'm just not good at it, and so I wanted to share some of those challenges that I have. But this is a project that I took on, and I'm going to tell the story right now. I made a little visual here, and it took me like 4 days to make this. And I know most people are going to say, "It took you 4 days." Well, yeah. So I'm going to try to go quickly here, but this is what I call the essence of hospitality entrepreneurship. But really, it's about managing hotels. This is an actual story that happened. I changed the names. I will not refer to a city or a brand or I will do my best to not to make any references to it. I was involved in this personally, and it's a bit emotional. Um, but these, all the people that I hope watch this that are currently hospitality managers, specifically at hotels, of which there's currently 150,000 out there managing 60,000 hotels today. Um, you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, this happens way too often. And this is happening every day. And what I'm trying to visualize for the listeners and viewers is that this story exists and has existed um, for decades and has gotten worse for the past 20 years. And so if you want to read more about that, go to our website, hospiamo.com. I got some videos and other, podcast type things that we're starting, but we're starting to tell these stories. And so I'm going to move on here and just tell you this story. All right. So um, this is a hotel here, and I'm sorry my face is too big. I'm going to see if I can. Hey. All right. That was easy. Um, all right. So this is a hotel. Amanda. These are, again, titles are the same. The story is real. Photos are not real. I don't own, some of the photos, but and these people are not real. The names are not real. So, but the story and this hotel story is real. All right. So we got Amanda. She's the hotel general manager. Dave is the housekeeping director. Joan is the housekeeping supervisor, inspector, and scheduler. And then we got Eddie here, who is a laundry attendant. Eddie is currently or was at he had been working at the hotel for 8 years, and he was taking classes at a local community college, and he took pride specifically in monitoring chemical safety for the housekeepers, and he was obsessed with keeping the dryer um, clean, the lint trap and the dryer, the air ducts clean, because he knew that that was a safety issue, and he was beloved and is beloved by the team. So this is kind of like the GM and then the housekeeping department, laundry department. All right. So here's okay. Oh, so Amanda, top general manager in the company. She convinced the management company and the ownership group to pay half of Eddie's classes, um, which was total of $10,000. Over a couple years for Eddie, and they paid 5,000 of it, and then over a long period of time, they deducted the other 50% from his paycheck that he was so happy about. So, um, moving on. So, all right. So Joan gets promoted. Here's Joan, the housekeeping supervisor. She gets promoted to another hotel. Sad to see her leave, but she's very proud, and the team is very proud for her. So we got a job opening here. Um, so 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks go by. Finally, they find Michelle here to fill that role. She goes on the floor, as we call it in the business, immediately, because it's been a couple months of people teaming together to fill that role and to inspect the rooms and all that. So Dave hands over the simple tasks, the quick ones. You take over the schedule. Just inspect the rooms. You open housekeeping and you close housekeeping. Thank you very much. Get on there. 3 weeks go by and all is moving along. Dave can now have dinner with his family once again. So Michelle has high confidence at this point. She's got experience. She has high industry knowledge, but she has low knowledge of the people. Right? That's normal. It's a new job for her, so she's getting to know the people and the culture. Oops. Michelle makes a simple, honest mistake, and she puts Eddie on the schedule for Tuesday. I didn't mention that, but Eddie goes to classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he just never works on those days. And so whoever's Joan, sorry, Joan just knew that and never put him on the schedule. So Michelle makes a simple mistake, and where we are here, puts him on there. So where are we at here? So Michelle handles it. Sorry, this is the process. Simple mistake. Eddie understands. He says he will work. He's ahead of his schoolwork anyway. So he comes in to work that Tuesday. 4 weeks later, the other laundry attendant and her sister, a housekeeper, they go to part-time to take care of an elderly mom. So it's like a total of a full-time role. So Michelle handles it, asks and receives help from the housekeeping team members. They get busy. The team helps. 12 weeks go by. Eddie asks Michelle for a week off. His family is visiting. And Michelle says, absolutely. Whatever you want, Eddie. You're awesome. Good for her. So the next month comes by, and Eddie's on the schedule for that week that he asked for off, and Michelle forgot, but has no one else to pick up the shift. So Eddie understands. He says he'll work, right? But Michelle refuses and says, no, my mistake. You go spend time with your family. She will work the shifts. She will make it work. Beauty is created. That's what I call that, right? So, she's got high confidence and high industry knowledge, and now she's learning about the people, and she's developing trust, empathy, loyalty among staff. Eddie's very happy, and Michelle here is building her team. So Beauty is recognized. At the monthly staff meeting, Amanda and Dave recognized Michelle and the entire housekeeping department for being accountable, empowered, helping each other. Move my face. And they surprised the housekeeping department with each getting a $100 gift card to Publix. It's 1,000. They got about 10 people in the department. It's about $1,000. And the reason that they can do that, they're not budgeted for that, but Amanda here, the general manager, built a relationships with Publix because her team has been buying subs there for years, and she said, "Hey, listen, I want to ask you for a favor," and they donated $1,000 worth of gift cards for them, and so very cool. Says a lot about the industry, about collaboration and everything. So, moving on. Michelle calls her dad later that night after that meeting and says, so this is a true story, right? So, get emotional. She calls her dad later that night and she says, this is kind of a quote, a paraphrase, but she goes, "I knew I picked the right hotel. These people get it. I'll never leave. I found a home." She's very happy that she's able to work with her team and be recognized for it. All right, so 12 weeks later, 12 weeks go by. Amanda, congratulations, happy, goes on maternity leave for 3 months. Amanda's regional director, here's Roberto, says, "Don't worry about it. We got you. That's great. Go on maternity leave and go be a mom and be with your family. I'll fill your role until I find an interim GM." And then welcome her back, right? So Roberto lives in a different city. He's gonna go to that city where Amanda's hotel is, and commit to covering the role and finding an interim solution while she's out. So now we got Roberto, Dave, Michelle, and that's that laundry department. So, after a couple weeks, Roberto misses his family. So Roberto brings does some, he's got 10 hotels in his region, and so he finds what he finds to be a great assistant general manager at one of the other hotels, brings Taylor here in she's an assistant general manager at one of those hotels, and he brings her in for like being a GM in training. And so he's like, "Hey, here's an opportunity for you to learn. It's really nice, beautiful thing." So she's there. Roberto returns home. Good. All right. So this is the situation right now. So we got the reality of, that was the housekeeping department. The reality of running a hotel is it's highly, it can be chaotic. It's not like this every day. I got a lot of arrows and stuff like this, but the point of this slide is saying you got a lot of people reporting to you, and you also, as the general manager, have to report to a lot of people. So we always say, like, "Hey, I got a lot of bosses," and you do. You have a lot of stakeholders, actually. So to put a visual on that, we got Brene, who's the front desk manager, night audit. She runs breakfast. Dave here, who we know, housekeeping director. We got Jaime, who's the chief engineer, in charge of the building, and we got Ava over here in sales and marketing. And then they are, they were reporting to Amanda, and then to Roberto, and now they're reporting to Taylor. And Taylor here, as the general manager, is accountable to these things. So accounting, cost controls, reporting, analysis, market share. And she reports up here to Roberto, and Roberto works for the management company. You got all these people here. You got reports, and you got to watch the money, the accounting of it. She also has works for a franchise brand, a major brand in hotels, and they have standards. You got to keep those going constantly. And then you got vendors and suppliers, and some other people to report to. But these are all high frequency communications for a general manager. And so remember Joan here, the original housekeeping inspector that Michelle replaced. So she got promoted to the other hotel. It's a different company. She recruits and talks to Jaime, who she knew very well, and said, "Hey, the company's looking for a regional building engineer or chief engineer for a region, and it comes with an increase in salary and responsibility." And Jaime's like, "I'm happy, but that's amazing. I've got a family. Wow. And then I don't have to move." So he applies for the job. He gets it. But he makes it very clear to his current employer and to that future employer that I want to bring Eddie, and I want to bring this other person that works in maintenance with me. Do you have the opening? They say yes. He meets with Taylor. here and says, "I'm sorry, but this is the opportunity, and I want to ask for your permission to talk to Eddie and this other person in the maintenance department." She says, "I'm not going to hold you back. Sorry to see you go, and good luck, and you have my blessing to do that." It's very busy, and Jaime and Eddie and this other maintenance worker, they leave after a couple weeks' notice, but unfortunately there's no like celebration. Eddie, that's been there for quite a while, and Jaime's been there a while, and this other worker, so they don't have a luncheon or a celebration to see them off. But they're sad to see him go, but very happy and proud that they are moving on. So 2 weeks later, Dave, hey, hooray, is offered the interim general manager role until Joan comes back. And Taylor here, great job, goes back to her other hotel and has some good experience and all that. So good job, Dave. So now this is what the kind of the org chart looks like right now. So Taylor, the GM in training. Sorry, this is a backward slide here, but anyway, so Dave is now here. He is the point of contact for all these different things. So Dave is the interim GM, but he's also the housekeeping director. Okay, so there is no housekeeping director. You got Michelle here. Eddie's no longer there. You got Jaime in the chief engineer position that's open. He's not there, and then this other person that also got promoted outside the hotel is not there. Okay. I'm going to move a little bit quicker here. So, but all these things need to continue to happen, right? They're continuing to happen. Hotel's getting busy. Okay, so this is a reminder of the beauty that was that existed just 6 weeks before. The employee and management engagement levels were the highest in the company. The hotel had scores at the top of the company and brand, and quality and safety and security and guest satisfaction, employee satisfaction, profitability, revenues, just killing it. That's what was happening 6 weeks ago. And then 2 months go by, and Amanda returns. Hey, all right. It's now the winter busy season. It's in a cold market. And she promotes Dave to assistant general manager. Good for Dave, for doing a great job. And now this is what the org chart looks like right now. We got, as a reminder, we got Amanda here, GM, Dave, AGM now. Good for you, man. Yeah, we still have an open position here in housekeeping director because that's where Dave went. We got an open job in the chief engineer that Jaime went away, and this other person. And our man Eddie here is no longer there, but Ava's still there in sales and marketing. Brene doing a good job in the front desk and night audit and breakfast. So as a reminder, remember how Eddie owned and was obsessed with chemical handling and cleaning the lint trap in the commercial dryers? Move my face. So here's Eddie. So for 2 months go by, and the air ducts, the lint trap, are not cleaned, and this happens. I'll make a note that this is not a real picture. We don't own this photo, but this looks a lot like what happened. Fortunately, no one was injured. The hotel closed, and it was sold a year later, and today it's not a hotel. I haven't been there in a long time, but it's I think last I saw it was a parking lot. I'm going to leave it at that. This story, I want to make sure I'm communicating it well. I'm not saying that do this and your hotel will burn down. The story of engagement and not retention. Okay, because a lot of people got promoted out of the company, which is good for them. It's so good. That's what we should always be promoting people, and move them upward in their life and their income and job security, regardless if they stay at the hotel or the hotel company. That's what happened. All right. And I'm also very careful for not placing blame or pointing fingers. This happened, and we can all learn from it. And I know that I'm seeing head nods from my people that are managing hotels and that have managed hotels for a lot of years. And the reason why I say this is entrepreneurship is because these are the stories that, like Michelle, the housekeeping supervisor, she moves up, she gets promoted, she learns and she makes mistakes, she has successes, she is loyal, and then she eventually grows her own job security and income, and she has dreams of being an entrepreneur, but she just calls it a little bit of ownership of something. So she starts her own company, and she did that, and this is the story, okay? And the going back to that engagement piece, currently, this is the numbers for you to remember. There's 60,000 hotels in the United States. On average, those are about 125 guest rooms and about $125 average daily rate. They're running about 65% occupancy. They're doing about $3 or $4 million a year in top line revenue. Okay? That's the average hotel. 90% of those hotels are under 150 guest rooms. It's actually 95%. Okay, there's only about 5,000 hotels in the United States that are over 150 rooms. So this is a story of what the world calls select service hotels or focused service hotels or limited service hotels. These are not your large hotels for conventions or with big restaurants and things like that, but they represent 95% of the hotels out there in the United States. And these are the people that you want to have engaged. When they're not engaged, they'll leave your company, or when they're working, they're disengaged or they're actively disengaged. And if they're disengaged, they're going through the motions, floating around, doing the best that they can, but when they're recruited by another industry or another company, they talk to them. That's disengaged. And they probably will leave for just a little bit more money or a little bit more of an opportunity. The actively disengaged, those are the ones that are still coming into work, but they are actively eroding the foundation of that engagement that was built and that beauty that was created. We did a study of 150 general managers last year. I know it's not a ton, but we did 150, and we asked them all the same questions. And it was about engagement. And then we asked them follow-up questions. And what we determined in that research study with Hospiamo, and this is available, happy to share it, 7% of those managers were engaged. The entire nation, Gallup, the Zippia, they do engagement studies all the time. And the national average for all industries usually fluctuates between 26 and 32. Good times, obviously, it's a higher level of engagement. But these, we're looking at a 7% engagement level of these leaders. And these leaders are the ones like Amanda, like Michelle, like Dave. They're the ones that keep guests safe and secure. They keep things like this from happening. And 7% of them are walking into work and thinking, what do I got to do today to keep my people engaged? What do I got to do today to keep my guests safe? What's wrong with the building? Let me walk around the building with my team and look for things that might be out of place that could cause something like this. "93% of the leaders out there in the hospitality industry are likely not able or feel like they're not able to take the time to do that. The desire is there. It's there. And the good, amazing, great people in the hospitality management companies, the desire is there to allow them to do it. But it's not happening. It's not happening, and it has gotten worse for the past 20 years. Engagement levels used to be very high in the 90s for hospitality managers, and there's reasons for that. We did a study on that too. So I'm going to end it up here, and I'm documenting things like this for a couple reasons. One, I am struggling a little bit with getting the ideas into a visual so I can tell these stories, but also these are stories that need to be told. On Thursdays, my brother Matt and I are doing a live event on LinkedIn to tell these stories and to honor these hospitality managers. It's become a joy of my life and career in planning this and doing it. And our first one was last week. And so we're committing to being consistent every Thursday. I, along with some close friends, are going to start a podcast as early as like tomorrow. We have one to upload already, and we're looking at 7 o'clock in the morning on Mondays to upload those every week and to be consistent. The consistency of it, if you think about it, has a lot to do with engagement. If we in the industry are not consistently engaging our people at the property level, it's not about treating people right, and it's not about starting a new committee to focus on it or operational excellence. It's about the property level people being engaged and walking into work and thinking, I'm going to spend most of my day focused on making this hotel and my team better, safer, happier, more satisfied, more loyal, whatever it might be. When you're disengaged, you're not thinking like that. You're thinking, let me look at my resume. Let me sit back and really think about what I'm going to be doing at work tomorrow and just get through it. Hospiamo exists to convert the disengaged to engaged. I think it can be 5 years, but people say I'm crazy. But we can do that in 5 years. We can get 50,000 managers over the next 5 years from disengaged to engaged. I think it's a no-brainer. I find it to be simple and easy. That's what we're doing. But imagine that. Imagine getting to 30, 35 above the national average of highly engaged hotel managers. Imagine what that would do to traveler and guest confidence and safety. And while we're doing that, we are celebrating the greatest in hospitality management. These companies, you, the general public, don't even know their name. You need to know the names of these companies that are doing this extremely well. Because that 7%, that's just a little study. There are some companies doing amazing things in this industry for their people. They're just doing it in a bit of a silo, right? They're doing it at their company. We're telling those stories and collaborating with them to expand it throughout the industry. We're also connecting with the youth, high school age, as young as 15. So this live event series on Thursdays at 3 o'clock that we're doing on LinkedIn Live and streaming on YouTube and Facebook also and other sites. We have a 15-year-old entrepreneur, freshman in high school, started his own business, loves cars, started his own auto detailing business, and he's bringing in money and revenue, and that's hospitality. This is not just hotels. He's got a hospitality mindset. So I'm very excited. So I'm going to stop here. I just did it for 30 minutes, almost exactly. I was hoping to do it in 5, but I didn't. Thanks. Cheers to everybody.